Finally, I can say there is a movie of the year. Hello. It's been a bit, and my uploads are likely to still be inconsistent, but I wanted to get out a video on the new theater hype, one battle after another. I've been saying it for a while in my videos, but I'll say it again. I've been struggling to find movies I truly love this year, with each great one falling just short of being especially fantastic. I figured, honestly, that this film would be another one of those great but not particularly special ones. I had seen the trailers, and that was about it, and I was getting a mostly comedic vibe from them. It looked very enjoyable, and with Paul Thomas Anderson attached, I expected a good show. I just didn't know the depth that this movie would have, and the strength of the message it was going to communicate. This is not just a funny movie, it's an important movie, and we're going to talk about it now. I'm going to be spoiling this one, and you really should see it before you ruin it by watching my dumbass video. One Battle After Another begins with an extended introduction in which we meet Leonardo DiCaprio's character and his girlfriend, Perfidia. They are members of a left-wing underground organization whose cause is to spread awareness of improper treatment of immigrants and break those immigrants out of detention centers. Obviously, this is an incredibly relevant topic in the modern world where immigrants are treated like wild animals that have to be watched 24/7. It's a very cathartic segment of the film to watch, seeing the downtrodden get one over on the abusive militaristic government, though as part of the film, it's actually my least favorite act. As an introduction to PTA style, the beginning was definitely a bit jarring. I'm no unnecessary sex scene hater, but going from Leo and Perfidia making out, to Sean Penn and Perfidia making out, to Sean Penn and Perfidia fucking, to Perfidia forcing Sean Penn at gunpoint to get an erection, was a very strange experience. The theme of sex and men's ignorant desire being rightfully used by women is actually a very interesting one to see portrayed on screen, though I just think that one of those scenes would have worked just fine to communicate that instead of so many in so little time. And I would have scrapped the Sean Penn gets hard one that was deeply uncomfortable to watch with my dad. There were a few other small issues bothering me early on, like some corny dialogue and Sean Penn's ridiculous performance, all of which were purposeful decisions, not mistakes, but just didn't correlate with my interests, and that's fine. Everything changes, however, with the second act. After Leo goes on the run when Perfidia is forced to sell out their organization, the French 75, a time skip occurs of a solid 16 years. In this time, the French 75 members are hunted down one by one, and the scenes in which we witness their assassinations are some of the most frightening in the movie. DiCaprio was the lead in Killers of the Flower Moon a couple years ago, where similarly chilling murders were seen committed of Native Americans. The suddenness of these deaths and the fact that they happen in broad daylight are so effective in making our villains feel terrifying. There is no place that's safe because they could kill you in the middle of a crowded mall and they wouldn't be punished in the slightest. They don't go to prison, they run the prison. Leo is hiding out with his now 16-year-old daughter, played by Chase Infinity, under the names Bob and Willa. Unfortunately, he's next on the list, and after Willa goes missing at her school prom, Bob goes on the prowl to find her. And here's where we get to my favorite section of the movie. I sometimes have a bit of a distaste for Leonardo DiCaprio. I don't know why, because I know he's a great actor, but the amount of praise he gets given for being the greatest to ever do it always seemed like an exaggeration to me. Also, I hate his face. With all that said, this is the best performance of the year, and I don't even think it's close. Leo as Bob Ferguson is absolutely off the wall. He manages to simultaneously be a complete failure and also impressively awesome and resourceful. Once Bob escapes the first attack of the government, he runs to Willa's Taekwondo teacher, played by Benicio del Toro, and we enter a thrilling sequence where Bob desperately attempts to get in contact with the still-functioning French 75, who have gone completely underground and are too paranoid to believe he is who he say he is without a series of particular codes. This is filmed almost entirely in one-shots lasting minutes or longer, presenting the locations wonderfully, swooping around each room to give the space life. During all this, Bob is frantically rushing around, Leo paying special attention to his physicality. When Bob finally gets the codes, and the phone is given back to the man who denied him for so long, we get this hilarious, loud-ass, "Hi, prick," that might be my favorite delivery of the movie. Truly, it doesn't feel like Leo DiCaprio playing this character as much as he is embodying him. There's no restraint behind anything he says, as if he's improvising each line on the spot, and he shifts between Bob's moods just as naturally. When he is captured, the tiredness wears on his face. When he misses his shot at Lockjaw, Sean Penn's character, he gets even more fidgety and distressed. Every movement is calculated, and yet it all comes off as real gets. And all throughout this second act, Radiohead's Johnny Greenwood is just minimalistically tapping away at piano keys, making the score sound like it itself is fidgeting too. The restlessness would not be the same without that stellar piano. Nearing the end of the film, Willa is truly captured by Colonel Lockjaw after having been rescued previously by Brenda Meeks, and Bob ends up being too separated to save the poor girl. After Lockjaw is dispatched by a government grunt, which we will talk about in a second, a car chase begins, which I believe has been getting the most acclaim of any sequence in the film, and yes, it is thrilling. I still would say the midsection is the highlight for me, but the way that the camera flicks between the three participants in the chase, being Willa in front, then the grunt, and finally Bob, as it gets more and more shaky to put you right there in the car with Willa, really got me shifting in my seat. Now, I believe, would be the best time to mention Chase Infinity, who puts on a hell of a performance as Willa, most especially in this final sequence. After learning Colonel Lockjaw is her true father, having impregnated Perfidia at the beginning of the film, Willa is appropriately shaken, her confidence nearly broken when she learns the news. Still, her persistence keeps up, and in this final chase she pulls off a smart move by stopping her car at a blind spot to cause the government grunt to crash into it. She kills him for not knowing the French 75 code, and nearly kills Bob himself after he reveals himself in a frightening resolution in which it's clear an innocent woman's trust has been irreparably broken by her trauma. He finally comforts her, bringing the two story to a satisfying close. You'd think Chase Infinity's rise started years ago, but this is her second film credit, and that's nuts. Still though, there's one more character I want to talk about. Stephen J. Lockjaw is played by Sean Penn, and he is a fucking monster. Really though, he's like an inhuman creature of a man, grunting and screaming as if his rage knows no bounds. This over-the-top performance can definitely be a drawback, since it's just kind of awkward how much of a hulking psychopath he is instead of being a cold, calculated government agent who would fit the tone of an intense chase a bit better. That being said, it becomes clear why Lockjaw, whose name is very dumb, is such an imbecile when we're introduced to the rest of our government characters, also known as the Christmas Adventurers. Their name is also very dumb. These are the cold, dangerous men who share their racist viewpoints only in secret. To them, Lockjaw is a danger. He can't hide the insanity like they can. So, of course, they have him eliminated from the equation by sending the grunt to take him out. Unfortunately, he survives, because apparently he's the fucking Terminator, only to be murdered instantly afterwards by the same men. In case you thought there was honor amongst veterans, there's not, and there never was. The nail in the coffin for Lockjaw wasn't even his disturbing and unpredictable attitude, it was his interracial relationship with Perfidia. For that, men he thought were on his side had him killed. It's one of the most telling moments of the film. The government isn't just out to get the French 75 and other supposed terrorist groups. They could just be out to get the man at the next cubicle over. They can call us animals all they want, but at the end of the day, the only ones living in a dog-eat-dog world are them. America is more chaotic than it has been in a long time. People, real people, with families and aspirations are being hunted publicly by the military, beaten, and sent to camps because they didn't have the right pieces of paper. Sometimes, the immigrants are documented, and ICE treats them just the same. Like in the film, they'll make up a reason to deploy in your town and take you in. In dangerous times, one battle after another is the type of movie we need. I expect we'll only see more revolution in the future. It's a 9 out of 10 for me, and even though it's not a masterpiece to me like it is to so many, the direction, cast, score, and so much more didn't have much more than a couple hiccups. This is a must-watch, and people are watching. That's a good thing. I'll see you next time. Goodbye now.